Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I just want to apologize for those who are listening to the recording, for those who are stuck in the waiting room. I don't know why Zoom is not letting you in, but we will work that out before Monday. My apologies. We are joined today for our 20 minutes for Israel from Israel with two young Israelis who have been active and involved in some of the volunteer efforts that we've been hearing from our other speakers. I'm actually very excited and honored to welcome my brother, Yitzchak Brander, and his friend, Natan Pollack, who is both joining him. Yitzchak is currently studying in a post-high school yeshiva, or a Hezr yeshiva in Yerushalayim. And Natan, you'll tell us when you speak about what you're up to in your line and where were you before October 7th? Please.
Hi, I'm Natan. I learn in Yeshivat Cholev. I'm in 12th grade. And yeah, I'm a student there. I live in Yerushalayim. And what else?
Thank you for
Tell me.
joining us. Tell us.
Thank you.
The point of this program is to get a sense a little bit what's going on the ground in Israel, the mood, and also some of the things that you've been involved in. First of all, I hope you and your family are doing okay and holding up okay. They are?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
All right, good to hear. Good to hear. Can you tell us a little bit what's been going on since October 7th for you? Yitzchak, tell us a little bit what you've been involved in since that happened.
Okay, so should I start or Yitzchak, are you starting?
You start.
Okay, so October 7th on Simchat Torah. Actually, like me and my friends in the youth group, we went to a small Jewish community, like in the Milkaz next to Tel Aviv, called Azul, and like there aren't a lot of religious people there, so we went to bring the ruach of Simchat Torah there, and like dance with them and do the akafot. So we did it in the evening. We did it with them, and it was very very fun and meaningful. And 6:30 in the morning, we woke up. Or like a siren, and there were rockets. And Motzei Shabbat and Simchat Torah, it was obvious to us once we understood like what was happening. So it was obvious to us that we need to start like that. There are so many people in our area that went to the army that were drafted. So it was obvious that we'll go and do babysitter for all kinds of people. So two of my friends opened like a WhatsApp group, all kinds of people from the area, where you could send people that need all kinds of babysitting and stuff like that could send a message, and people and youth that are interested in helping are able to are able to get the message and call the people and help them. And then within a few hours, it was very obvious that this is not enough and it's much bigger. And my friends actually started like getting all kinds of people that asked them if they could help taking apart the sukkah and all kinds of other stuff. And slowly it went further and further. And the next morning, my father saw a message that said that there were families from down south that went to Yerushalayim, and they had to have all kinds of stuff that they didn't have time to take with them. They sent me with a few hundred shekel to the supermarket to buy all kinds of food for babies and diapers. And while we were filling up our basket, someone came up to me and asked me, "Wait, is that for you? That doesn't look like I was with a few friends my age. So why are 12th grade boys buying diapers and food for babies?" So he asked us, and we told him, okay. So we told him that we just brought it for people from down south. So he said, okay, I wanna help. He said, okay, I'm gonna put all kinds of other stuff inside. Show me the list what you need, and I'll buy the rest. So he started putting in all kinds of stuff, bought them. And then one of our rabbis met us and said, okay, wait. He also saw it was a little weird, and he started like shouting in the supermarket that there are these guys that that are taking all this stuff for people down south. So we put a sign in the beginning of the supermarket saying that we were doing that. In the end of the supermarket, there are a few baskets with that you could put in all those stuff, and then within like 3 hours, it was crazy. Within 3 hours, we had 7 big like baskets that filled a few cars with all kinds of gear and stuff that like toothbrushes and food for babies and everything. It was really that's where we started and like send it to people down south.
It's inspiring. Yitzchak, tell us a little bit about what the experience has been since October 7th in terms of some of the work that you've seen around and you've been a part of.
Okay, so after October 7th, at first no one really knew what needed to be done. It wasn't so obvious, and there was just, I mean, it was craziness. So I went around first, like the first few days, I went around with friends. We cleared out shelters because people needed a place to go if there was a siren, something that wasn't really expected in Yerushalayim. So shelters were filled with stuff, and it turned out that people had nowhere to go over Simchat Torah. So that was the first thing. We needed to make sure people were safe. The next step, we collected food for families. We filled packages for soldiers. People had run off to go and help. People got called to go up to the army, and they felt the need. They ran up. They ran out on Simchat Torah. They didn't deal. They didn't make sure that they would have food. They didn't make sure that they would have a toothbrush, like Natan said. They didn't make sure they didn't worry about themselves. They worried first to go and fulfill their duty protecting Am Yisrael and protecting the Jewish people. So we felt the need to help them prepare themselves. And then the next step was families from down south came to Yerushalayim. So me and a couple of friends began to babysit families who the parents just needed some time to breathe and figure out what was going on in their lives. And these kids also needed time to play with other kids that weren't traumatized. These kids, I mean, I was with them over a Shabbos. They wanted to play card games, they wanted to play Monopoly, but only if we did it in the shelter with the doors locked, or only if we did it underneath the table or underneath the bed, or if we close the blinds and the shades of the in the windows. Like that was the next step. Another thing that I felt that needed to be done was I knew that even though for the first 5 minutes the world would be for us, very soon the world would turn its back on us. And I'm not talking about the Jewish community, God forbid. I mean the rest of the world. So I said we need to tell people right now and keep telling people what this is about. So I started talking to Jewish communities around the US. For instance, Florida, in California, in Cleveland, and I and we organized that people would start putting up posters, signs, yard signs, yellow ribbons, reminding people that Hamas, in their horrible attack, had taken hostages, men, women, and children, had stolen them from their homes, and we needed them back. I felt that if the international pressure, by the way, it seems like that might be a big reason why 4 hostages, thank God, have already been returned. If international pressure says this isn't okay, this isn't how things get done, and if the international community says you can't harm these people and these people need to come home, maybe, just maybe, we will have a big hand in bringing these people home soon and quickly and safely.
So where are these signs now? What have you heard?
So in Teaneck, there's signs up all over. In West Hartford, I've heard that there are signs up all over. There are signs in Florida, in California, in Cleveland, in Texas, now in Canada. um, in Boston, and it's growing. I mean, people really just want to be part of things. People really like, I mean, this is like such a tragedy, and I think the whole Jewish community, it's been amazing to see. We all are dealing with things together. We're all together in this.
And just for everyone listening and watching, this is these are the signs, not just so we support Israel signs, but the same design that you see in front of our shul, in front of some of the shuls in the area, the same that we give out in the shul. These are the same designs that are now being used across the country that were designed by you, Yitzchak, and your team, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really remarkable. What do you see? I think we're hearing in Israel that the mood is shifting a little bit from the extreme um, shock that was the days after this. Help us understand a little bit what's the feeling on the street in Yerushalayim, in Yerucham. What do you get the sense for those of us who are 6,000 miles away and just want to understand better our brothers and sisters in Israel?
I think the only way to understand is to understand how it started and what it is now. So the first step I think was almost like if you read Harry Potter, so like there's dementors that go around and make the whole area around them feel cold and almost like hopeless. So that was the first few days. I mean, it was in the streets, you could hear crying every 4 buildings you passed. You heard wailing. I mean, that was the feeling. It was empty, and the people that were in the streets, everyone was like pale and walking around like a ghost. Um, it was just this horrible feeling of dementors that had come and brought like almost like this cold darkness on the country. But afterwards, people started to, first of all, find themselves a little bit. Things started to return to some sense of normal. And more than that, people realize that while it's so terrible, we have priorities right now. For instance, we have to protect ourselves. For instance, we have to keep the world moving. For instance, we have to make sure that the people around us are safe and healthy. So everyone took a deep breath, and I think everyone began to figure out how they could live with what had just happened. And suddenly the city changed. So from this darkness, all of a sudden there were signs all over Yerushalayim, and there were signs all over Yerucham, saying, we're going to win and we're going to do it together. The Jewish people are united. We're not afraid. Things like that. All of a sudden, what had been this almost black and white scene outside had become this colorful um, day of which everyone is coming together to make sure that everyone is doing well.
Natan, do you want to add anything on that point?
I don't know if I have a lot what to add, but I think as Yitzchak said, like slowly on the one hand, people started to like think more straight and like really, and there's a lot of signs. But on the other hand, because it started to be like something that we just live into it, then people also like on the first week when we did it when we were giving all kinds of stuff for soldiers and for people down south. So we had a full block filled with the cars that want to just help and take things, and people were willing to drive for 3 hours, and slowly it goes down, and people they're starting to go back to work and go back to school, and it becomes harder. It's like, for instance, there are a few families that went from Sderot, that's next to Gaza, Notif, they don't they don't have like a real place to be in, and they don't have so much food. So we were like, so you need to find all kinds of ways to provide those stuff for them, and it's a little harder now because people aren't as into it and aren't as inside, even though like everybody's part of it and everybody wants to win it, like Yitzchak said, together. And there's really a feeling of unity, but on the other hand, people are starting to go back into their lives and into their work and school.
So you have over here a collection of people from America, and more will be listening. Tell us what you think we as American Jews, as American people, need to know from your perspective in Israel. We'll start with you, Natan.
Well, first of all, very special to feel that like really that you think about us and that it's and that we're part of the same and we're part of it together. It's really special and like I feel like it really pushes us forward and makes it easier for us. And I think and when I say us, it makes it now like us as the whole Jewish community in the whole world. And I think that this really helps. And I think also, I don't know, in all kinds of places, like once you understand really that like the whole what's happening and the feelings of what we feel like, I don't know if we have time, like I have a rabbi that in our school that he was guarding his yeshuv in the West Bank, and a week ago there were a lot of terrorists that came and tried to do like the same thing that was in the area of Gaza and their yeshuv, and so they all went down and started and there was like a fight there and they were and it was like they really felt in danger. And I think once everybody knows what's happening and knows that we're dealing with this terror and it's part of us together, I feel that it really makes us stronger and united.
Thank you. Yitzchak.
I think, first of all, that like what Natan said, it's like such an amazing feeling to see that, like, I mean, Jews all over the world are here, are supporting us, you know. I sent some videos, um, also that you sent me, like from stuff that you did as a community, also from what other people have sent in from their communities to soldiers who are down south or up north. And I someone called me, a chavruta of mine from Yerucham who's stationed down south, and they're waiting for whatever is to come next. Um, and he said, I saw that video, and then I went to my soldiers. He's a commander. He said, I went to my soldiers, I showed them the video, and I said, look, we're not fighting with the backing of with not of the back with the backing of 9 million Israelis. That would be amazing. We're fighting with the backing of 14 to million Jews around the world, and with all the millions of Jews that have lived before us. They're all with us. They're all backing us now. That was something that he felt and his soldiers felt very empowering. So first of all, that's amazing, and we really appreciate it. I think another thing to understand is it's going to be a long time. I think the same way I think all of us need to try to, also Americans need to try to understand how to balance um, being in the news and being out. I think we in Israel feel even maybe more comfortable with saying, okay, we can't listen to the news right now, whereas Americans maybe feel like they need to listen to the news, but we also have to understand it's going to be a while. We're going to need your support for the next long time. It's going to be a long haul after this war. I'm telling you, I'm teaching also in high school now. The things that these kids tell me, it's an entire country that's going to need to go through a lot. It's entire people that need to go through a lot. And I think that the big message has to be that together is the only way that we're going to be able to get through everything that we've been through, everything that we're going to need to go through. It's going to have to be together.
Thank you so much. Sage wisdom from young rising stars in Israel. And it's just incredible as we listen to the work you're doing. It's like what you hear grown individuals, adults putting on the same sort of efforts that 12th grade, 1 year post 12th grade is doing. For those who caught at the end there, Yitzchak, because of the teachers from his school that have been called up, that they've enlisted the graduating senior class to be the teachers at their school at Chorev, to help provide a sense of normalcy in classes for the students. I can only imagine calling back our seniors to then be the teachers just 1 year later. Thank you so much. Know that we're here in America, and everything we do these last 2.5 weeks have been in thinking about how we can support you, how we can support our brave Chayalim on the border, what we can do to advocate for the release of the hostages, and what we can do to show that we're one united Am Yisrael together. Thank you for taking time to be with us. Be safe, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you very much.